and I'm looking at the very first part of the very first topic. So this is the energy changes and energy stores topic, which makes up part of paper 1 in your GCSE exam. So I'm going to start learning now and see what we get here. So the very first thing we've got here is the fact that energy can be stored in a number of different ways, and we need to make sure we actually know the different types of energy store that we will come across as part of GCSE physics there. So first of all, we've got kinetic energy store. Any sort of object that is moving has got a kinetic energy store in it. The faster an object is moving, the more kinetic energy is stored up in it. So this guy looks like he's running pretty fast here, so he's probably got a fairly large kinetic energy store. And also, the larger an object, or the greater the mass of an object, we should say, that also affects how much kinetic energy is stored in it. A larger object, or an object with a greater mass, stores more kinetic energy than a small object. So the two things that contribute to something's kinetic energy store are the speed or velocity of the object and the mass of the object. The next type of energy store that we've got here is gravitational potential energy store. Okay, and the gravitational potential energy store is related to an object's movement within a gravitational field. So really, when we talk about gravitational potential stores, we talk about changes in the amount of energy that's in that store. If I've got an object like my pen and I hold it low down, it's got a certain amount of gravitational potential energy stored in it. As I raise it up, it gets higher in that gravitational field. Therefore, now it's got more gravitational potential energy stored in it. When I lower it down, it's got less gravitational potential energy in the store again. Okay, so we've got kinetic, we've got gravitational potential, we've got chemical energy. This is energy which is stored up in materials due to the chemical bonds between the atoms in there. So that's where you get the energy that you get from your food from, basically, and you metabolize your food and you break down the chemicals in your food, you release the energy in there, and you are getting chemical energy from your food. Another one is elastic potential energy. I'm just looking around if I've got something I can use. There we go, I've got something there. So, for example, elastic potential energy is what comes into my slingshot that I've got here. So as I stretch my slingshot out and I pull that elastic back, I am storing up elastic potential energy in that elastic, and when I let it go, it's got the potential to spring back again there. So any object that's been squashed or compressed is an elastic potential energy store. The next one we've got is a nucleus store. Obviously, this is a really useful thing. We use this in nuclear power stations to generate our electricity, but the nucleus of atoms have got a lot of energy stored up inside of them, as is demonstrated by nuclear bombs, and when you split those nuclei apart, you're releasing that energy there. And the last one we've got is an internal store. Now, internal, you think, well, it's just inside of something, but it's actually related, really, when we're talking about it, it's related to the temperature of something. When you raise the temperature of something, you're increasing its internal energy store. The kinetic energy of the actual particles increases. The particles start to vibrate more, and obviously we relate that to temperature. Something's hotter, the particles are vibrating more. So as the internal energy of something increases, the particles start to vibrate more. They've got more kinetic energy, and the object's obviously starting to get hotter. So let's see if we've got some questions we can actually answer about that now. Well, we've got a little video. We'll skip over the video if you don't want to watch the video there. Okay, so here we've got to actually say we've got some visual clues here. We're asking what are the different types of energy store that we've got here. So obviously our first one that we talked about, well, was the chemical energy store. So energy stored inside of chemicals use their chemical bonds. We have also got up here, this one here, well, that is energy that's stored in something due to the fact it's either squashed or it has been stretched, compressed, or stretched. It's going to be the elastic energy store. And finally, this person here is high up on a diving board. They've moved up in a gravitational field, so they have got a gravitational potential energy store. Okay.